This video is the first of a series of videos on how to work with 3D in After Effects. This first video is the introduction to a segment on 2.5D, or essentially what that means is flat objects arranged in dimensional space. So let's go ahead and take a quick look on how this works. Here I have a nice little scene. I have some clouds, I have a cute little sun, a rainbow hiding behind it, and some lightning bolts when we are ready to get to that. So what I want to do is I want to arrange these regularly 2D elements into kind of a spatialized 3D experience. So here, there's the sun, and right now you have the regular anchor point, position, scale, rotation, opacity because it's a 2D layer. But if I go over to the 3D column, I can turn it on, and I will gain orientation, X rotation, Y rotation, and Z rotation. Also, when you select sun, you'll get this three arrow handle here, which if you hover over the tips, it'll tell you what is what. The red is the X, the green is the Y, and this blue arrow, which is pointing at you, and we'll see that in another view in a second, is Z. So you can actually just kind of move things around this way, and also with the Z, you can zoom it forward so the sun gets bigger because it's actually getting close to you. I'm just going to undo all that so it goes back to the beginning. Now notice if I make the sun move forward, even though the sun is significantly bigger, it's not going in front of the clouds. So let's go and rectify that. So first, in order to do that, we're going to have to see how things are built in a way that's more than just one point of view. So if you follow with me here, right at the bottom of the composition panel, there's this one view pull-down menu. Let's go to two views, and that's going to show two views next to each other. Now, right now this is black, but let's turn the sun back to back to a 2D layer. And so now we're kind of back to where we started. And so it shows these two layers next to each other. Whenever you turn on a 3D layer, like the sun, you can now see what you're getting is an above view of this sun. So I can actually pull this blue arrow and make that sun come forward. Now again, you'd think that if everything is kind of dimensionally on top of each other, like 3D, that pulling the sun forward would actually put it on top of these. But basically, if you have a 2D layer and it is on top of a 3D layer, it's always going to show on top. So if you have 2D layers that are stacked here on top in your timeline that you would like to go behind another layer, you also have to turn them into 3D layers. So let me go ahead and turn those three guys on. And so now the clouds are on, and so you can see here you can pull these clouds forward. You can see they are behind the sun. So now that I've turned them into 3D layers, they are behind the sun. And so here's the sun that's the closest to us. But I can rearrange it, so I'm going to actually rearrange it so I have kind of the clouds coming forward and maybe one cloud behind. Now notice as you get closer, everything is getting bigger, which makes sense, but that also means, like, for example, if I want to take this cloud and I want to move it behind the sun and give it some depth, I may also want to scale it. So as you kind of move things around, you might be playing with their scale as well as their depth. So this is the basis of how 3D layers work. We'll come back in another video on cameras and lights.